uh, the last week and this week too. Uh, we went to different companies in at Leon, in Lagos de Moreno. Yesterday we went to the house called San Cristobal. Where is the Center Fox located?
Yes, yes, yes. I guess I know that. Yeah.
Uh-huh. And yeah, part of that, the work of home office and my businesses and all stuff. Yeah, it has been a little bit not difficult, but yes, requires time and obviously effort and energy. But apart of that, everything nice, teacher. And you?
Very nice. Excellent. Thank you very much. Yeah, quite busy too. I had to go to Toluca the other day for a couple of hours. Then I wanted to find the bus back, and I missed the 4:30 bus to León. So I had to made lots of transfers in Celaya, then Irapuato. It took me forever. So rather than taking the 4:30 bus, I was able to take the 5:30 bus, and I only made it in Leon at 1:30 in the morning. Oh, it's so late. Yeah, and I felt exhausted. Then
Yeah.
yesterday I had to go to Aguascalientes. Thank God I had a drive from at 10, only at 10. So I woke up kind of late, past 9:30. No, but at 9, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but I went to bed at 1:30, so I was able to sleep only, well, it was not that little, but I didn't sleep very well. 7 hours. It was not that bad. I managed to sleep at 2 o'clock in the morning and woke up at 9. So 7 hours is not so bad, but I
Yeah.
felt tired. And then I had to drive to Aguascalientes at 10, 10 to 12, take a class from 12 to 3, and then came back at 5 here in Leon. And then I was working the whole day on my thesis because we're gonna have the colloquium next week.
Mm.
But I needed to submit my advances to my tutor last
Yeah, of
night,
course.
so I
Hmm.
finished very late. And today I had to send something in the morning, but now I'm okay. Thank you, Mickey.
Perfect, teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah, in occasions it is necessary to spend a little more of time in those things, but it's normal. It's okay.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That is true. That is true. I wanted to ask you how you're doing with consulting work with your end. That sounds
Uh,
really exciting and interesting.
yeah, it is. I have learned a lot in those in those 2 weeks because, well, I have never experienced something like this before, and yeah, it is so interesting to understand more or less how the companies works, the differences of the companies. I don't know if I told you the last time that we went to a Japanese company. It's called mm, Tigerpoli, something like that. Tigerpoli.
Okay.
It's focused um, on refactions of cars and all stuff. The majority of of the Guanajuato state is focused on that. And well, that company is Japanese. And we went to other two companies. The other one was American, and the other one was Mexican. Well, the transportist line is Mexican, but the company I think that it's American too. And well, the difference between one with the other, like the culture inside the company, it's completely different. The last Thursday, I think, yeah, we were talking to a girl that she's gonna manage the City Path certification in the company, in,
Yes.
in her company, right?
Uh-huh.
And yeah, we were there with her like almost 3 hours, and then
Really?
yeah, and then she left the room, and two guys came. They were the manager and the director, and they told us that she didn't know, but the last no yesterday actually, the in that time the next Wednesday will be her last day in the job. So
Oh,
it was like
really?
yeah, just
She
like
was
that.
moving to another job, or she had been let
Fired.
go?
Yeah, and she
Yeah.
didn't know, and it was like, oh my god, why you told that until we finish 3 hours of talking, and she seems like motivated, like with effort, with that energy and effort to do the things, and then suddenly they told us no, she's gonna be fired the next Wednesday, but she doesn't know, sorry. So yeah, it was. it was something bad, but in the positive way, it gives me like this feeling of reality, that so many people is trying to get a job, and unfortunately, it's so easy to replace one person with other.
Yeah, that's an important comment. That's an important comment, and it's good that you're aware of that. I mean, yeah, it's a reality, and we tend to become like machines. Well, I just replace one knob for another, or a screw for another screw, or one bolt. I take out a bolt and insert another bolt, like with a screwdriver, and that's it. Like if we were
Yeah,
mechanisms or parts of a machine.
yeah, exactly, and yeah, obviously it was sad because it was like, oh my god, she doesn't know nothing, and the next Wednesday, actually yesterday, will be her last day in the company. So yeah, we need to do that the same process, but now with other person. And the issue is that there's a lot of rotation in the companies, and that company actually was Japanese.
Well, a high turnover or rotation, as you mentioned, is a bad sign of management
Yeah.
because either the employees are not motivated or are not well trained or are not well selected. One
Hmm.
of the three.
Yeah, of course.
So there must be other ways to maintain stability in a company because let's say that you spend 1 or 2 hours or 3 hours, 5 hours training that person and then he's gone. Those 5 hours were wasted.
Yeah.
You need to retrain the new people. You need to select new people. That's additional time. So we're wasting time there.
Hmm.
In the whole process, recruiting people is time consuming. Also, looking for
Yeah.
references, checking the references, making sure there's the ideal candidate, training the candidate, and then
Hmm.
establishing connections with that candidate with the new workers in the new atmosphere. And then he's gone. It kind of disrupts the whole process, don't you think, Mickey?
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, as you mentioned, now when you hire the new person, then you need to do the same that you did with the other one. So it requires time, obviously requires money. And yeah, if there's a lot of rotation in that company, and actually I imagine that yeah, there's a lot of rotation because actually in the door, in the entrance door of the company, I saw like a little poster that says signs of, what's the name of that? Hour of I forgot it. How do you say renunciar?
Uh, Resignation.
Resignation. Okay, yeah, yeah. There was a little poster in the wall that says hours of the specific hour of resignation of this week is at this day. And it was like, oh my god! So they are aware of that people is resignating of the work, and yeah, it was like it gives you an idea of how's the work, of how's the company inside.
Yeah. It's very important to be able to detect the reasons and also the consequences because as you are becoming a consultant, you don't need to provide a name. Actually, it's not a good idea, I don't think, to provide a name. But that's good information for you because then somebody's going to ask you, hey, Mr. Mickey, what's going on? Or Mr. Hernandez, right? When you become a pro consultant, right? They're going to be asking you questions like this. We've been experiencing a higher turnover recently. What do you think can the reason be? And then you're going to say, well, I know a company. I will not disclose the name, but this is happening. And that gives a lot of value to your performance because we used to have a consultant that was a Jewish guy who was a consultant for many transformer companies in the US, in China, in Germany, in many places. And he always gave us references of what other companies did, technically speaking, and also administratively speaking. And he used to say, well, a company from China, I will not disclose the name,
Yeah, of course.
is doing the windings or the tank with this type of gold oil or this type of board, electronic board, and this and that. So he was very experienced, but he was accumulating the experience from other clients.
Hmm.
And then he used that as a reference. There was this problem in this company, or there was a very good decision in this company, always maintaining the secrecy of his clients. But
Yeah.
the positive thing is that you're gaining experience, and that is fantastic, I believe.
Yeah, of course. The activities that I have done are completely different in comparison with activities that I normally do. So yeah, I'm getting experience, and yeah, I think that it's important to understand the different um, circumstances, because yeah, I like the idea of my own business and all stuff, but I think that it's good to understand how people is living and how people is probably uh, in a way like suffering to get a job, and how the industry is working, at least here in Mexico, and I imagine that in other parts of the world too.
Well, when I was in Siemens, my boss was a Canadian guy, and
Hmm.
he was told us that in Canada was even worse. They just came to you, two people standing on your sides. They gave you a box, and they told you put your personal things here, and they escorted you to the door. That's it. You had 10 minutes to put your personal things, your personal belongings in the box, and then they were escorting you up to the exit, and then you were gone. That's it.
Yeah,
No nothing, no farewell, no goodbye, no hugs, no nothing.
that's all. Yeah.
That's it. And by the time they had already broken up all your connection to the internet, so that you didn't steal the databases or the resources of the company, the information.
Yeah.
So they acted very quickly, and very suddenly. So it was not friendly at all without the compensation that they normally give in Mexico, which is 3 months plus 20 days per year that you have worked in the company, plus other things,
Hmm.
which is a good package in Mexico, which they don't have in the US or in Canada. I don't know in Europe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a little advantage. Well,
Well,
it's a
yeah.
advantage to be honest.
But in the US, there is a lot of mobility also, work mobility, which is
Mhm.
beneficial because it's more organic, I would say. Here, it seems to be more structured, more rigid, whereas in the US, at least my brother has just joined the Navy in Washington, and they already invited him to another position in the same group of the Navy in another city with better opportunities. And he's very happy. He's considering because he already had bought a house, not bought the house per se, but given the down payment. So what he wanted to do was to either sub contract the house or rent or rent it or do something. But there's a lot of mobility in the U.S. Much more than here.
Yeah, of course. In general, there's more mobility in the United States. Uh, but well, this week has been a little bit crazy in terms of international news, right? Venezuela, the fraud of elections, and all stuff has happening.
I'm not very aware of that. Can you summarize what happened there in Venezuela? I heard, I saw some memes about
Hmm.
Maduro, but I really didn't pay much attention. But I'm sure that there must be something behind stages. What's going on, Mickey, these days?
Yeah, just wait me 1 second. Let me charge my laptop, teacher.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, actually, well, in the past, and I'm saying probably 1 month ago, I was a person that actually was reading almost all news, all, and then I read a book called it was in Spanish. I didn't find it in English, Dieta de Noticias, and then I decided to just eliminate the news that I was watching because in a way I think that it affects you more than in a positive way, in a negative way. So I decided to cut the majority of news that I have seen. But then I just saw normally in El Financiero, like the bullet, how do you say, like these week news. There's like
Journals.
journals, yeah. And well, what I know about the Venezuela elections was that at the beginning, the difference between Maduro and I don't remember the name of the other candidate was huge. I remember that I was seeing like update of the votes that have been counted, and it was like 64% of the other candidate, and Maduro had like 14, 15% of all the votes that have counted until that moment. And then, obviously, I don't know why. Well, yeah, I know why they did that, but at the end, Maduro won. So people in Venezuela was saying that was a fraud, a completely fraud, because there were people that, for example, in Colombia, we know that it has border with Venezuela. There were people who was Venezuelans in little boats trying to cross the border of Venezuela to vote because the borders were closed for the same reason to try to to avoid the to avoid people who vote. And yeah, there was a lot of things in the elections. There were people who burn out the how do you say, like, the boat station or their boat's place.
The ballots.
Yeah. And yeah, well, at the end we know what happened. One Maduro won, it's supposed. And there are governments that are not like supporting that idea because they say that Venezuela needs to respect their democracy, and that they're not gonna say that Maduro won until the other international organisms analyze the situation. And yeah, that's all.
Very
That's
interesting. Yeah, I kind of disdain the international politics, and mostly not so much the politics, but the journalists, because they all have an agenda. Many of them are going to be right, and they're going to explain things as accurately as possible. But it's impossible for me to believe that they are neutral and unbiased, one side or the opposite side. They both have a team to protect, a team to follow, an
absolutely.
ideology. I don't want to say which is better. Maybe both of them are good and have the good points, right? Normally, is the two extremes: the capitalistic view, which is good because it motivates entrepreneurs, business development, growth, this and that, and socialism, which tends to take a look at the population, at the masses, at the people in less with less possibility and resources. In both ways, I'm sorry.
It's
In
true.
both ways, they have a right to exist. And maybe the best is the coexistence, but it's difficult. And sometimes the disparity becomes so huge that the extremely wealthy and rich people are not happy, and the extremely poor guys are also not happy. So I think
Mhm.
that the best type of society, which may sound utopic, of course, would be when there are two poles, but they are not with so huge disparity. They're more or less balanced. Right.
Yeah.
There are regimes which are capitalistic, which are more or less balanced, and there are the regimes which are more or less socialistic, yeah, with socialistic system, which can be more or less balanced. And there are systems of both, which are with a huge disparity, and that leads to violence, to discomfort, to inequality, etc. I don't know what your viewpoint on that is, Mickey.
Yeah, it makes sense. I think that they short like the different streams, that if you believe in something, you are correct for a specific group of people, but you're incorrect for the other group of people. And I think that we need to be like more, I would say, more
Tolerant.
tolerant and partial too. I think so, because yeah, as you mentioned, there will be positive things from one thing to the other. And yeah, try to establish a balance and don't overpass the different boundaries of the different ways of thinking. Because yeah, I consider that um, the capitalism could be good, but of course they has their own limitants. And one of the that you mentioned is, for example, the different the huge difference between could be one person with the other. So yeah, I would say that it's important to try to stay in the middle. But until now, I don't know uh, which government or which country has already found that solution. But
Yeah, yeah. To make it very, very simple, let's say about. I always mention this, right? I always mention the example of Carlitos Slim. He's probably the wealthiest man in Mexico. Obviously, he must be very, very smart. But I don't imagine him sleeping 40 hours a day simply because the day doesn't have 40 hours, right? It only has 24 hours. He's going to have access to delicious and marvelous food, but he will not be able to eat 20 kilograms per sitting. He's going to have a meal, but he cannot order, give me 20 kilograms of the best beef, steak. It's
yeah,
impossible. He cannot eat 20 kilograms. So, why do people need so much? It is a waste of time. And in particular, when you know that there are people that have basically nothing to eat, which are also humans. It's not that they belong to the animal kingdom or that they are in the jungle. They are your neighbors, our neighbors, right? Yeah, he's very intelligent, he's very smart, he has talented, he has earned it, he deserves it. Okay, he deserves that, but what he's gonna do with the 18 or 19 kilograms extra of meat that he cannot eat? Toss them to the garbage or what? So
exactly.
yeah, well, but it's a very interesting consideration. But well, interesting, Mickey. Thank you very much. I wanted to ask
Yes, sure.
you about this little table of consulting because I find it incredibly interesting that you're building up another facet, another aspect of your professional career. What do you think of this table, Mickey? Can you give it a look and maybe read the lines and be commenting about them, please?
Yeah. Challenges and opportunities. Finding clients, building a robust network of clients and referrals.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
Yeah, of course, I consider that it's so important to always uh, be looking for new clients. I consider that without clients, business would not exist. So, yeah, there are different groups, places, conventions that helps you to do like this networking. For example, the last Monday we went to the Inform because there was an event of the Claucto. You know what is that? Like the cluster, the automobile cluster of here, the Guanajuato state.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a great opportunity to enter that market. This is
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And we went there. It is a certification because well, you're required to first affiliate to the Claucto, and it gives you some benefits. But then you need to be certified in the same data in the same program. So yeah, you met people from other industries, from other um, people who probably sports. So probably that people could be your clients in this case. So
fun.
so yeah, I consider that always that type of events helps you to do networking and connect with other people.
Yes, it may be a good moment for you to start. Probably, if you have the time, and if it becomes something that you like to do, small capsules of different topics that you like in English, with the idea of attracting potential English speaker customers, potentially, right? And be the liaison between the North American market and the South American or Latin American market. That is an extremely important plus for people who are bilingual. If you're able to speak English and Spanish as you do, and then be able to connect with the American people, with the US people and Canadians, and to be able to deliver anything in Mexico or Latin America, and vice versa. Latins that want to do business in the US or Canada or even Europe, that'd be amazing. I recently went to Guanímaro, where there is a cooperative which is called Tequila Guani, and They are managing to, they are a cooperative, the only one in Guanajuato, I believe, and they're able to export their tequila to the US, Europe, Finland, Iceland. They're doing extremely well, Mickey. So I see that there's a growing opportunity for you in this market.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it makes sense. I think that you're not just limited to one to a group of people who speaks your language, because now that I can express my ideas in English, it can gives me like different people. I can meet people from other cultures, from other countries too, and yeah, obviously it expands my networking. So yeah, it's a great idea, teacher. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, of course. The second item, which I believe is also something that we have talked about quite a bit, establishing credibility.
Yeah, establishing credibility, becoming a thought leader in your industry.
Yeah, when people are in the auto industry, automobile industry, or in the transport industry, high power business, education, whatever, agro industry, and they mention your name, they're going to say, "Oh, Mickey, of course," right? They will recognize you as a knowledgeable person. How can you get there? How do you get there? How do you establish your credibility?
Yeah, well, I consider that there are different ways to do it. First of all, creating like your own journey, and people uh, can know you more because you have like this journey, you have like this experience, and obviously have trying to have how say it, a good reputation. Yeah, obviously it doesn't make sense if you have a great experience, but your experience, the people know that you are a person who normally commit fraud or steal or whatever. So it is important to have a good reputation, and I think that having a good reputation, following the different values and be ethical, I think that it opens you more doors.
Yeah, of course. Becoming an expert in your industry, a leader in your industry, yeah, requires the accumulation of experiences, as you said, getting to know people and getting them to know you is not only that you know who the people are,
Yeah,
who the government and companies are, but also getting to know you, getting to know what you do, what you're planning to do, and what you have done, creating that feeling of transparency, which is appreciated by so many people. So very nice. And then there is the third aspect, Mickey. Let's talk about it a little bit, please.
yeah. Managing finances, high earning potential with successful engagements.
Yeah,
Uh,
there will be some ventures. Yes, go ahead, Mickey, please.
yeah, no, tell me.
There will be some ventures that will require quite a good investment from the entrepreneur. So some others will require minimum expenses or expenditures. So there may be a high earning potential in certain associations. For example, if you enter the automotive industry, that can lead to huge engage, earning potential because that there is a high stake over there. You know, they move amounts of money, masses of money there. But of course, we need to think about the infrastructure. If you'll be working as a consultant, well, one thing is to charge uh, for a conference or for a
Mhm.
advisory or for all the services that the company you are in provides, and the other is to decide to undertake an investment to become a supplier. For example, there is an outsourcing activity that many companies subcontract, which is taking a look at the spare parts, at the parts, many pieces. There is a name for that. They what is the name? They want an external company to check the failure rate of their production so that it is more or less neutral.
Yeah,
And that doesn't require a huge investment, but it requires to have an organization of say 5 or 10 people who normally check the pieces and make an assessment. They say, well, 3% of your pieces are defective, or 5% of the pieces are defective through an inspection. And they do that internally, but also it's a necessity that they do it externally with an outsourcing group. Well, that outsourcing group is not expensive to build, but requires a lot of organization and creativity and the contacts in the automotive industry. So that is an idea, but there will be many, many opportunities that you're going to find. But I
Yeah.
just want to mention that what this more or less implies.
Yeah, it's true, teacher. Yeah.
Okay. Well, then we have the next one, Mickey, please.
Balancing workload, flexibility in choosing projects and working hours. Uh, yeah, of course, I think that it's so important to be aware of your capabilities and the time that you require to do uh, each specific project. I consider that, yeah, it doesn't work if you have a lot of work, if you have a lot of projects, but you don't have the time or the team to do that. So it is important to establish this balance in work life and be aware of your boundaries too, because yeah, as you mentioned, um, we have like a specific amount of time that we are really, how can I say it, like, like this time that helps you or that you can use to work, and there's time that is not possible because yeah, you need to rest too, and it is important to rest because if you don't rest, you're not gonna be productive. Could be
Yeah.
in the days after that.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Also, when you continue to grow as a consultant, when you have a group, this happens, for instance, to my brother in Canada, where
Uh-huh.
he started his building company as a design engineer first, as a project engineer, then as a project manager. Now
Yeah.
he's got his own building company, and he's the manager, so he's the head of the operation. But then he starts to grow, he gets more projects, and he needs people under him. And then he has an assistant, that's like an administrative lady that uh, checks the orders, the payments, the collections, the invoices, this and that. There is
Hmm.
another engineer that works under him to check the projects technically and in site. There is a person who's in charge of managing the crews, the workers that are normally associated to a union, which can be something that can, if not managed properly, can lead to legal consequences. So you need to be very careful, both in the administrative and in the contracts when people are in a union. What I mean with this is that you start associating or hiring people that's going to be working for you possibly as you grow. Maybe one, then maybe two, maybe 10. Who knows, right? The
Yeah.
sky is the limit.
Yeah, of course.
But then, how do you, first of all, how do you choose these people? How do you train them? How do you compensate their work, etc.? So you are then in a new game, right?
Yeah.
As a manager, it's like what your aunt is doing now, right? She's working
Mhm.
with you. She has to be making all these decisions. She's got to be saying, well, who do I associate with? Who else is going to be in the group, etc. So there are other level of decisions, and it is now not the same to manage yourself than it is to manage three, four, five, 10 people. So it is a new atmosphere, a new sensation, right?
Yeah, of course. I think that it's so important to know how to delegate activities, to know how to uh, train your people, because well, at the end, that people is gonna do the work that you cannot do for the limited time that we have. So yeah, I consider that it's so important. I don't know it's so that it's easy because first of all you need to trust in the people, you need to invest money and time to training them, and but yeah, of course, as I mentioned, it's an investment, and if that people are feeling like motivated to work in the company, And yeah, they're gonna do your work and probably until better.
Yeah, yeah. I once worked with a guy, with a friend that has a packing house in which he produced crops, vegetables, cilantro, parsley, Italian parsley, radishes, broccoli, and Swiss chard. And he sold them to Soriana. He also exported them. And once we chatted about how he managed the business, and he gave a great example. He said to me that his business was like a closed box that has many windows or many holes. And his job is to take a peek at the different aspects of the company. He takes a look at this little hole, which is production, the other one, which is purchasing, the other one, which is logistics, the other one, which is sales and collections. And he makes sure that everything is okay. He tries not to intervene, but to take a look at these little windows. And in those windows, he's going to notice if everything is going okay, he goes to the next window, right? If it is not okay, he enters the window and fixes the things that he needs to fix. Each
Mhm.
window representing the different departments of the company. As I said, production in the field, uh, the sales with the vendors and sales reps, collections with administrative and accountant, payroll, etc. How do you like this concept of the box as a manager, Mickey?
Mm, yeah, of course, I consider that it's important that normally the boss or someone uh, is focusing on the different departments because when someone is involved, probably you can understand with more like clearly. Can I say it?
Clarity?
Clarity. Yeah, sorry. With more clarity, what is happening. I don't know. As for example, I have this example with my parents, right? That there are people who, well, when my dad was teacher, that there were people who was a director, but they never been a teacher, so they want to impose that to put new rules, that to teach this, but they don't really know how to stay in front of the group and try to do that because they haven't done yet. So you need to really involve in that and understand what is happening, and the only way to do it is really involving in that. And when you understand how it works, well, you can understand the how can I say, like the strengths and weaknesses of each department. I think so.
Absolutely. That is crucial. Actually, the best example that I've ever seen is a company in Irapuato, which is the first transformer company in the country, pole transformers. They are transformers that you will see in the corner of your street, or maybe are transformers for pedestal, but normally the transformers are here with the bushings, and this goes to the power lines, right? Well,
Hmm.
these are the transformers that this company makes. It's called, uh, what's the name of this company? Artifacts. Well, this is a transformer company in Irapuato in Isabela Católica. There is where this transformer company is. The owner was a very great guy, very smart guy by the name of Don Alfonso Hernandez, right?
IG, okay, I remember.
IG, that's the one.
Yeah.
That's IG.
Hmm.
Yeah, IG. The manager of this company used to be Mr. Alfonso Hernandez, who was a great man. Alfonso Hernandez, right? And he retired. He decided to retire, and he put his three sons. He had many from the three different marriages, but the first one, he put his three sons in charge of finances, sales, and production. Well, the kids had never done anything in the workshop, so what they started to do is to request money for this, money for that, and it became a competition who withdrew more money. It was a competition. Oh, how come my brother took 10,000? No, 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 give me 15. And then the third brother came up and said, 15? No, give me, I want 20,000. For what? Well, whatever. But I need 20 because they needed to withdraw more money than the brother. Well, the factory was collapsing, about to collapse when the old man, Don Alfonso, decided to come back from retirement. He fired his three sons and he took charge of the company. Most people in Irapuato know the story. I'm sure your dad is going to know the story. Uh,
Probably.
And then what he did was that he put his daughter, the youngest one of all, but what he did is that he took his daughter to the very, very basic operations of sales, taking orders, filling up papers. Then he took her to the workshop, but not as a manager, soldering cables, inserting screws, making connections in the cables, hands on. That's what he did. And then he took her to the finance department, but not to become the manager and give orders, no, to make calculations, adjustments, go to the bank, withdraw money, pay the employees, etc. So he did exactly what you just said. He taught his daughter the basic operations in the different departments. Who do you think became the top manager of the company, Mickey?
Yeah, of course. I imagine that his daughter.
Exactly. She
Yeah.
became the owner, and when Mr. Alfonso passed away,
Mm-hmm.
she is now the owner and the general director, general manager of the company.
Mm.
So it's exactly a great story, and it's exactly what you were saying, right? You need to know how to do the basic operations of all the company, and only then be promoted to the next level, and then be promoted to the next level in a sequential order. Otherwise, what you just said, right? How can I know what's going to happen with the teachers if I want to be the manager or the director and I have never been a teacher? How can that be, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it makes total sense. Yeah, and it's something that really that occurs so many times. For example, yesterday we went to a transportist line in Leon. It's called, um, well, I suppose that I cannot say the name, but
No, don't say it. Don't say it. I mean, don't have to say it.
no, but it's called Arroyo Transportes Arroyo, something like that. It's almost in the outsides of Leon. It's not. It looks like it's not Leon, but it is. And and yeah, well, the manager, obviously, the grandparents, the grandfather was the creator of all that. You know, the who bought the trucks, who really starts the company, and then the son was the one who tries to update it, but then the the children of that son, well, those are like typical juniors, you know, in Leon. So they have a disaster. Yesterday we went to that company, and that company they wants to be certified in city and how is it city in city path, and for that they need to follow a lot of regulations and a lot of rules, and they have a completely disaster. They have like motorbikes completely destroyed from one part, cars destroyed in another part, because then they told us that they have a contract with the state, that for example the cars or more motorcycles that has been crashed, or I don't know. For example, just there was a Mini Cooper there. The Mini Cooper was beautiful, but then you saw the window and it looks like 10 bullets inside that window. So
Oh, really? Really? Wow.
that type of vehicles, uh, they use that space to those vehicles, and obviously they aren't gonna have the certification if they steal with that. So they have a completely disaster, and it's the same because, well, I imagine that the children of the son will be juniors their whole life, and then when they told to them, well, now you're gonna manage the business, they don't know how to do it, and they have a complete disaster. And it's the same because probably they have never experienced, uh, really be involved in the business.
That is a common phenomena that takes place quite often, and I have seen it a number of times in Leon, at least in many industries, mostly the tanning industry, the shoe industry, the leather industry, in
Yeah.
which the parents go through great strives in life, go through struggles. Eventually, they manage to make it. They develop a good income, a good company, and then they say, well, I want to give a shortcut to my children. I don't want them to suffer as much as I did. I don't want them to start from scratch as I did. I want them to start in level 10, not level 0, not ground zero. So I want to save the journey for them. But I think, Mickey, that is a mistake. What do you think?
A completely mistake. Yeah, as you mentioned, if in this case, if the children are not involved in the business, they're not gonna know how to manage the business. Imagine the girl who was in charge because are those are the boys. The girl has like 28, 29, and the boy has like 32, 33. The girl studied, like fashion and all stuff, and he's like, oh my god, how you're gonna put a girl who studied fashion in charge of a transport line in Leon, So that type of things, they really need to be involved and really need to start from the beginning to understand how it works, understand the people, and to understand the different issues that they need to do to that they need to solve to, in this case, have the certification and those trucks that they have that they can export the products to United States in this case. So yeah, it's a common mistake that I consider that people, well, parents done with their children.
Yeah. On the other hand, it's a very great opportunity to have a disastrous case like this one for you guys as consultants to really explore what's going on, what leads to that disaster, what has led to that disaster, and you're gonna earn your advices. In other words, you're gonna be giving lots of suggestions, recommendations, organizing something which is totally disorganized. Probably is gonna teach you more than coming to a museum or to a very neat place, because then you just don't need to basically say anything, right? Oh, everything's in order. Congratulations. Here is my invoice, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, 100%. For example, yesterday was the same example because, well, first we went to a company that was beautiful. You saw the walls, you saw the gardens, everything was beautiful. It was like, oh my god, we don't need to do so much here. And then we went to the other company. It was like, oh my god, we need to do a lot here. So a lot of work here. So yeah, um, it is good. It is good to have like these different comparisons between one company with the other one. Obviously, the size of the company is completely different. The first company is focused, for example, in the brand called Eva that produce lettuces and vegetables. They sold.
I believe that belongs or used to belong to the Foxes.
Yeah, yeah. It's almost next to. I think that is his hotel or his restaurant. I'm not sure, but it's like, yeah, next to that to those buildings of Fox. So yeah, I imagine that it's from him.
Or his brother, because I believe that Vicente has a brother by the name of Jose and another one by the name of Cristobal. And I think one of them is a grower. And they all together developed this brand. I don't know how good that is, but I am familiar with the name.
Yeah, well, it's so popular. Of course, they export, and yeah, you can see the amount of money that they have invested in that company because yeah, the company is called Eva, but it's inside of a group called Advix, and in that Advix group there are other brands, and if you go after Center Fox, you're gonna see a lot of places where they produce lettuces, strawberries, berries. It's huge. A lot of fields, huge of vegetables and fruit. So yeah, you mean that. Now that you say that, it makes me completely sense.
Yeah, yeah, but it's very good that you're taking things in perspective and that you're able to compare one company with another one. Because as you do the comparison between both of them or among all of them, you gain expertise and you develop your criteria and your analytical prowess, and then you're able to establish a conclusion and provide advice, and then maybe give a reference. What this company is doing can help you in this way, or this bad thing happened to this other company, so be careful or beware of doing these practices, like for example putting your children in charge of a very huge department with no prior experience, right, etc.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Well, there is another issue, another topic, Mickey, called navigating legal and compliance issues. Let's take a look at this line, please, can we?
hmm Navigating legal and compliance issues, expertise in niche markets can command premium rates.
Yeah, as you become consultants and you get to niche markets in other ways, In other words, not very general markets where everyone is doing the same, but more specialized, your value also increases as a consultant because then it is you or a very few of you guys who know this field. Yeah, well, you're probably beginning now, but you learn fast, you acquire experience fast, and you have developed your criteria from other businesses or other activities, right? So I don't think it's going to be difficult at all to become a prime consultant and then be able to provide good value in your advices, don't you think?
Yeah, yeah, it is true. For example, I'll be honest with you, at the beginning when I saw the documents and all those technical things, I was like, oh my God, I didn't learn nothing in the school. But then just in 2 weeks, I have learned, and I'm not going to say that I'm an expert because no, I'm not that. But I can more or less like relationate one thing with the other, and I have like a clear idea of what I'm doing and what is the purpose of what I'm doing, what we're doing. Sorry. So yeah, it is true. I think that the best way to learn something is really living it, as you mentioned, involved in that, and yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Very nice. Very nice, Mickey. Well, that's excellent. And well, what can I say other than fantastic? Just
Thank you, teacher.
keep learning and make the most of it as you can. Um, let's do the next line, please. Then, keeping up with industry changes, that's going to happen. You're going to face that. Some industries evolve faster, but okay, take a look at that line, Mickey, please. Can you?
Yes, sure. Can you just give me 1 minute? I need to go to the bathroom.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, take your time.
Thank you, teacher.
Yes.
I'm back, teacher. Sorry.
Great. No, no problem. So this is a great line also, Mickey.
Yeah. Keeping up with industry changes, continuous learning and development opportunities.
What's going to happen here is that you're going to see different industries evolve at a different rhythm, different speed. Some industry will be very, very dynamic, possibly the automotive industry, whereas others are much slower to grow, develop, or evolve. What have you seen up to now so far when you compare a couple of different industries, like the transportation industry compared to the automotive industry, or maybe the I don't know what other industries you have seen. How do you compare them, Mickey?
Well, yeah, the way how the automobile industry is evolving is incredible. To be honest, here in Guanajuato and in general in the Bajío, I think that it's the majority of companies that are focusing on something related to the automobile industry, and yeah, I consider it's so important to be always uh, try to be always updated because there are so many things that change with the years about the terms of security, about terms of um, the prices too. We have seen the huge increasing of prices in the automobile industry. And yeah, I imagine that for the companies, they really need to focus on different fields, technology, security. Now that there are a lot of electric cars and hybrid cars, so yeah, I consider that companies really needs to be updating in different fields, and yeah, I think that in a way it's good for the customer, because now you have like more. mm More companies to choose, like more, uh, yeah, more opportunities to choose the car that you want, or that it's more according with your needs and possibilities. I think so.
Yeah, exactly. And there will be other changes that may not seem too dramatic. However, they can take a serious toll, a serious consequence in the development of employments, for example. And I'm talking about the agriculture industry. This company that is not far from your home, which is laser and GPS systems, are working for agave companies in Jalisco, which are Cuervo and Sausa. And what they're doing is they're developing a system to fertilize the plants automatically with a tractor which is guided with a GPS system. So the GPS system is connected to the tractor, and the tractor is connected to a spray system or a spray nozzle that
Okay.
is spraying this fertilizer in the plants, detects the size, more or less calculates the amount of the fertilizer that needs to throw or spray, and then continues to the next plant and so on. So you're getting rid of the workers. The comment they make is that, well, there is a lack of workers. There's a scarcity of workers that they cannot find available for this job. So what are they doing? Well, they developed this system, and they're making adjustments. But the whole idea is that now you're able to fertilize 1, 2, 10, 50, 200 hectares automatically. It looks like nothing. You say, well, it's just fertilizing. You still need to do other operations. But you have scrapers, you have many other devices that you can attach to the tractor and then get rid of the workers. What's going to happen if you eventually get rid of all the workers in the agricultural area? What's going to happen with them, right? So, what do
Yeah.
you think of these changes, Mickey?
Yeah, of course, it's a huge disadvantage of that fast evolution. I think that in a way we get experience too with the artificial intelligence. We have been like in a way replace it with just a machine, and obviously that machine don't requires salary. That machine don't requires vacations. So yeah, I consider that obviously there are so many advantages, but there are so many disadvantages too. And what we need to do as people is to try to be updated in the different fields, because I imagine that in a not in a long term, but in a short and mid term, it's gonna be more difficult to try to get a job, and yeah, we need to be updated to try to distinguish from the others and be the person that probably is in charge of those machines. But yeah, I don't know. It's something that I have been thinking a lot. I don't know, for example, about my sister studies. She studies what's this called? The name of the career? Graphic design, and it's like, oh my god, now there are so many apps that can do the same and probably in less time. So yeah, so many careers are being replaced, but now it's part of us to try to be always in updated and try to be attractive to the market. I think so.
Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate. Well, it's a paradox. On the one hand, it helps you do things that otherwise you could only do by hand and with a lengthy process. And all of a sudden, they can do it sometimes faster, sometimes better than we can.
Yeah.
And that creates a feeling of frustration, even. So I'd say I'm analyzing, I'm thinking, I'm calculating 5, 10, 15 moves ahead, and this computer can calculate in seconds, right? The moves in a chess game with
Yeah.
in matter of seconds they can have the best solution that you would need an hour to analyze a thing, right? So yeah, it creates a new dilemma in how work, how life manages itself. So is really something to focus on, right? This development and growth of artificial intelligence is has a big stake in our lives nowadays, and we will have to reassess our strengths to maybe refocus what we're doing, maybe moving from tedious work and routinary work to more creative work that only man can do. But also there is then a conflict of, okay, Mickey, what are your advantages over a machine? And then you start
Exactly.
thinking, well, now I don't know what are the advantages of a man or a machine because they can do everything now, even write.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it looks that it's gonna be difficult, but then people need to be prepared for that and be aware that it's changing. World is changing. The way how we study is changing. The way how we learn, our learning is changing. The way how we are working is changing. So it is important to be aware of that and try to prepare as much as you can and yeah, and see how it goes.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. And as you mentioned, right, be ready for change and take it with a grain of salt, I would say. And all these changes that are happening in the industry, well, they occurred in the Industrial Revolution with the British, with the English people 2 centuries ago, then with the development of the car, then with the development of aviation, then we can take it as a disadvantage or as an advantage. I think it all depends on how we look at it. And the most positive an attitude we have, I think the better use we're going to make of these new developments, Mickey.
Yeah, of course, we need to try to find the advantages of those changes and try to prepare before of all of the rest of the people and yeah, try to get advantage at the end, right? The people who really take advantage of crisis are the people who really prevails after that. So yeah, see the different opportunities and boundaries that we have and try to work with that.
Absolutely.
That's the only
Very
way.
nice. Excellent. Well, as usual, a great conversation. Thank you very much for your comments, your ideas, your input.
Thank you,
And
teacher.
we keep in touch then.
Yes, teacher. Yeah, we'll see in touch. um, yeah, well, if you wish, I can send you a message and you tell me if you can, and if you're not, let's arrange it. And yes, teacher. Thank you
I
very much.
believe I believe this Friday I would be available in the morning. I don't know how busy you will be.
This Friday?
Friday morning.
Yeah, will be great, teacher. Yeah, because actually this Friday I don't have something pending in the morning. Yeah, teacher.
So we can
Just
arrange a class then in the morning. I mean, maybe earlier. This time I had something to do in the morning and I didn't sleep very well either. So Friday then, Mickey.
yes, teacher. If you wish, I'll send you a message tomorrow, and then we decide if at 8, if at 9. Yeah, don't worry about that.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Thank you very much, Mickey. Take care. Have a wonderful one. See
You too,
you.
teacher. Thank you very much. Take care.
You too. Say hello